as you get towards... Hey guys, Craig from Crankin Surf back again. Got a board here that's got some really decent stress cracks through the deck, and I was going to tape it up. I've sanded it already, so I've really sanded into the cracks. I'm going to tape it up. I just want to show you how I tape it up and what I do when I do tape it up, just to make it a little bit easier for you. As I said, this one's just a repair, so it's not a full what we would call a hot coat, but I'll show you how I do it. Cheers. So what we're going to do, we're going to tape probably around about the halfway mark. So just run your finger along it. You need to sand the whole surface, make sure it's all sanded nice. If you have any glossy spots, the resin might not stick. The nose is always the hardest part because it's thin. So you might need a few goes at that. Right, yeah, there we go. Just going to fix this bit up. Now what you got is a good tape line around the board, but there's one more thing we want to do to that, just to make sure. We actually want the resin to run away from the board and not under it. So we're actually going to put some paper behind it, and I'll show you how to do it. So what we're going to do, we're going to actually just tear some paper up and put it underneath the tape. We're going to scrunch it into little balls, so it's going to rip off a bit of paper and just put it into a little ball. It doesn't have to be perfect. You can sort of see it there. And again, I'll show you what I do with it. It's really important that you don't use newspaper or thing that has ink on it that can come off. This is basically just an old template of blending curves. They're fine to use, no dramas at all. White paper is good. A lot of people use brown paper, but if you're stuck, even the catalogues you get in the mail are fine. Just as long as it's paper and roll it up. You can use tape, but tape's a lot more expensive to waste than paper. Okay, so I've got our little ball of paper. Oh, good catch. And we're just going to put it under, and you might notice that the tape sort of pops out a little bit. So there's no real, it's a guesstimate of how far you put them apart. Just make sure it's in between the board and the tape. So same thing there. Just work along. Pretty basic. So you'll notice that up, or you can't sort of see it, but up here the tape's sort of gone back under, and when we put the little ball of tape there, of paper, it pops that rail back out so you can see it there. So the resin that I use for this is surf sand resin. Basically this has the wax in styrene built into it. The reason you want that is it makes it easier to sand, especially when you've done it. Normally you can add wax in styrene. This one comes with it, makes it a little bit easier, less hassle. So as the resin dries, the wax will actually come up through the resin. So it makes it easier to sand, doesn't clog your paper. So I've pretty well got my resin in there. It's a bit of a guesstimate to how much I need. Just comes with experience, I guess, of how much you're going to need. Just have a look at the area. A normal short board could be 400 mil. No idea how much that one is, but it looks right. Okay, got a brush, we're ready to go. So at the moment I'm just going across just to get the spread. And I'll start going up and down, so I'll start pulling the resin down. There's no right way to do this, I just, different repairs will be different ways. It just pulls it down. So we've got a full coverage there. I'll just check that rail. Yep, looking pretty good. We'll just throw some more down near the nose. Some more around near the rails. Right, so what I'm going to do is going to lightly go up and down. Now I'm barely putting any pressure on the brush. Barely any at all. Now what I'm going to do then is I'm going to go across. I'll start from here. Now there's barely any pressure, it's just lightly touching the board. And all this does, just thins it out a little bit. Gives you a nice sort of cover. Something on there. Yeah, something there as well. Make sure you try to clean your area before you do this. And then occasionally just run along the edge. You'll see a lot of drips down the bottom here. The drips are really good to see how the resin's drying when it starts to go off. Yep, and that looks pretty good. So notice the resin just drips off. And doesn't go underneath. It's pretty important. If you've got any leftover resin, just put it onto another project you got standing by. So there we go. I've done what we would call hot coat. Fix their stress cracks. All we've got to do now, just pull the tape off. Pull the tape off slow, don't go too quick. Is you're going to have a little bit of a resin line where you put the tape. Just go around that with a little bit of sandpaper, probably 240 or probably higher, and then wet and dry it. You should get a nice finish. So this should be watertight, ready to go back in the water. I'll probably get around to doing some more videos now, a little bit more time. So like and subscribe. Yeah, like if you didn't like the video. If you want to see something else, let me know. I've always got plenty of boards that I'm repairing and doing different stuff. So that's just the way I do it. If I was doing a hot coat on a full board, I would actually go long ways, and then I go lightly across, and then go long ways again. So there's different techniques to do in different ways. Just because I'm doing pretty well, probably the top 1.5 or 2 foot of this board, I went across first because I wanted to spread the resin, knowing that the nose slopes down and the resin's going to run this way anyway. So with this, go across and then come down and pull it. You can see now it's drying, the wax is actually starting to come up through the resin. We'll probably leave this overnight, might send it tomorrow, give it a wet and dry, and should be good to go back in the water. Cheers guys, see ya.